This podcast is supported by The RealReal. Meet Christine. She loves shopping. And this is the sound of fashion overload. Too many fabulous things, not enough space. So Christine started selling with The RealReal.
I've always loved collecting designer pieces. Gucci bags, Prada heels. But my style keeps evolving. Selling with The RealReal? Game changer. I earn more, and they do everything.
Seriously, just drop off your items or schedule a pickup. We handle the photos, descriptions, pricing, even shipping. You just sit back and watch your items sell fast to our 40 million members.
And I get peace of mind knowing I earn more selling with The RealReal than anywhere else.
Exactly. That's the sound of your closet working for you. The RealReal. Earn more, save time, sell fast. And only for the month of January, earn up to $550 extra when you sell with The RealReal. That's right, up to $550 extra. Go to TheRealReal.com to get started. Earn up to $550 extra this month at TheRealReal.com. Terms apply.
Always follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you. We're live in downtown Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Fun 3-hour program lined up today. Heavy NFL, as you can imagine. We'll get into the wild card numbers, Super Bowl exactas, conference futures, the good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend. It is Black Monday, coaching firings, a lot of them with updated odds that we have, plus Nick Whalen on the program in 30 minutes, his best bets for tonight, and hopefully this weekend in the NFL. Warren Sharp, same thing coming up in 90 minutes. Tear to my eye, Paulie, last night around 4:30 Pacific time, as it is every single year, Week 18. Bye-bye to the regular season, into the final game. And we ended it with a doozy, and we could talk about that. If that was not like Week 18, we could talk about that game for like 6 hours today.
Yep.
It had everything.
Lived up to the hype. The game, the week, double-digit favorites went 6-0 ATS. The Packer game was everything I expected and more. That it was a struggle just to get a first down, and you knew, still it could happen. The Cincinnati Bengals let someone down yet again.
Yeah.
And cost someone a survivor entry. Not 1, 2 defensive touchdowns. At one point in the second half, the Browns only had 45 yards of offense, but they win the game and cost someone over $3 million.
Now, how about this? Every small dog, though, in the 3 to 4.5 point range yesterday, on the week actually, covered 7-0. Isn't that funny? Small dogs covered. Big dogs had no bite whatsoever in them, not even barking whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So you completely flipped it with that.
Sweetheart teasers, no problem.
They all got there.
That's right.
All got there yesterday, which was a good result. So what do we want to say about John Harbaugh today? Next coach of the New York Giants? Confirmed?
Yeah, I like that. I like that angle. Absolutely. And it's just both teams are infuriating in both organizations. Baltimore finds a way to lose. Horrible luck. Pittsburgh gets every break. I thought that was an egregious holding call that they shouldn't have called on Lamar's last long scramble. Mm-hmm. You can't hold the lead. Hamilton gets knocked out. Another guy gets knocked out. Friendly fire. You're down several guys on defense. Pittsburgh couldn't get a first down against Cleveland. They're going up and down the field in the fourth quarter. Boswell misses the extra point, and Loop from 44 in a tough stadium to kick. Wide right after you get the likely catch. And it's just, for them to be in that situation was absurd. And for them to miss the playoffs, I can't believe it. And this Pittsburgh outfit somehow, some way sneaks in. And they get a Monday night game, and they haven't lost a Monday night home game since 1991. Yeah. There's that angle, too.
Yeah, the old man looked good last night. And now he's going to be getting his biggest target back in the playoffs in DK Metcalf.
But the dump-offs, though, I mean, how do you allow it to happen? The stuff over and over again to Gainwell, sure, which is great from props, but it's like, how does this get 8 yards? They couldn't get a first down against Cleveland. How does this stuff work? Mm-hmm. They just picked up Thielen. They just picked up MVS. Occasionally mixing a little Freiermuth. You don't have the big fella. You don't have Washington. That you can't allow that if you're Baltimore. You can't.
Well, there was a bad defense this year as well, and we brought on, we had a guest on last Friday, Glenn Clark, who's covered the team, and the last question we asked him was, I really want to put down 10-1 on the Ravens to win the AFC. Is it a good bet or is it a waste of money? He said it's a waste of money because the defense has been no good pretty much this year. Can't rely on the defense.
Well, were they going to beat Houston? I mean, I'm concerned about Houston, though, the way they're playing. And the defense has been struggling here the last couple of weeks.
I put it this way. Do you love Houston going to Pittsburgh and just winning the game outright on Monday night? I don't.
Not the way Stroud's playing either. But it's that Tomlin voodoo and that Pittsburgh magic where they just, every year they find a way to do this. Now, they don't win a playoff game. but they find a way to sneak in, and breaks go their way, and they lose to the bad teams and beat the good teams.
I will never. I really have not mocked him as much as other people, meaning before the season saying there's no way. Like, I've been down on the Steelers a little bit the last couple of years. But, like, honestly, like, nationally speaking, and I think also on the network, no mocking him next year. Mike Tomlin does it every single season. Somehow, some way, they're a winning team every single year, and if they don't make the playoffs, they're pushing for a playoff spot on an annual basis. So no more mocking of that guy. The results don't lie. The process might a little bit. Like, you're always wondering, how the hell did they get here? I'm absolutely in that boat. But the results don't lie. Somehow, some way, he gets it done.
Yep.
And I will say this about Harbaugh, who was a special teams guy. Now, he's been the head coach forever now with the Ravens, but he was a special teams coach before getting this job. How the hell did he decide to have Lamar go backwards and lose a couple of yards to spot the ball with a timeout rather than running Henry to pick up maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 more yards in that spot?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe what they did.
Let him take off and run to dump it off, something there. Yeah,
And I'll give you an example.
Absolutely fair.
I bet the Ravens to come back and win the game as soon as Boswell missed the extra point. There was plus money still out there. And then it was so late in the game, I couldn't find it available. Books normally take it down with only like a kick to go. Had I known that he was going to do that, I never would have made the bet. Putting that kid in that spot in a stadium that, as you said, very difficult to kick in.
Got to make it, though.
But it's a horrible decision by that guy.
Well, I know, but it's 44 yards. You should make it. I mean, what kickers did this year. It was the year of the kicker.
No,
you got Little hitting from 68, no problem.
Yeah, but I would also say this. Same game, Boswell missed his first extra point in 4 years.
Yeah. Well, it was blocked. It was a jailbreak, but yeah. That's all, you got the issues up front, too, no doubt. But with the block, absolutely. But the big tickets that cashed on that, Pittsburgh plus 550 to win the division, Baltimore plus 450 to miss the playoffs. It's like the Andrews quote last night that Tirico said. I got goosebumps. I'm looking around. I can't believe all this offensive talent we have in August. But then we could never stay healthy, and we started off 1-5. And then the offense plays great, and the defense lets you down again.
Yeah.
And the defense let you down in the Sunday night game at home against New England when you were up 11 with 12 minutes to play.
Yeah, you know who's on line one? Listening to those complaints, Kyle Shanahan. Playing for the 1 seed, had more injuries than anybody, especially the star players on offense. Don't want to hear it.
Can't believe it.
Sorry, boys.
No Kansas City, no Baltimore. The Evan Abrams tweet, we mentioned it yesterday on the Tailgate Show. 2 teams with 11-plus win totals missed the playoffs, first time since 2000. It's a wild playoff field. Both 1 seeds have the negative turnover differential. And you have a team that continues to turn it over time and time again with Darnold and Seattle as the 1 seed in the NFC. And you have 4 road favorites in this round.
Yeah.
It was an all-time season.
And by the way, here's what happened last night in the fourth quarter overall. They got away from Henry, but I don't blame them because they actually had to throw the ball when it mattered most. Rodgers in the fourth quarter was 11. In the fourth quarter alone, Aaron Rodgers was 11 of 14 for $133, a touchdown, and a passer rating of 130.1. It was one of the best games he played the entire year. In the fourth quarter alone, Lamar Jackson was the first quarterback in history with 2 lead-changing 50-yard passing touchdowns in the fourth quarter or overtime of a game, and they still lost. Hat tip there to Doug Clawson with that research and that tweet. Incredible stuff. I mean, the Steelers, when you compare their odds to others in the AFC, it's just kooky enough this year where they could actually be playing in the title game. The AFC title game here. Again, last night, I called... Who's the person who came up with Fox in the Box for Harry Kane? Was that Nigel or was that Meatman?
Meatman.
Meatman did.
Yeah.
That's TJ Watt is the Harry Kane of the NFL.
That's another thing. Why is the offensive lineman trying to touch the ball? Mm-hmm. It's silly stuff that always goes Pittsburgh's way.
That's exactly
right. What are you
going
to do? You're not going to catch it and run. Just let Lamar take it or let it hit the ground. Don't reach out and try to grab the ball. And it goes right to Watt. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Directly to him.
And the 13-1, no turnover in the game, too, got me. I mean, it's just silly stuff like that where it's always that. Tomlin does it again. Baltimore beats themselves. Whether it's playoffs or a big game in January, they do it to themselves again.
Yeah. Now, we're going to spread out a little bit coming up in an hour. We will get into all of the games in the wild card round. We're going to go conference by conference. Is there a bet that you have made already, or is there a wild card number that really jumps off the page to you? There's a game, the more I think about it, I kind of love this team in a matchup.
Carolina plus 10.5.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville plus the points. The under in the Bears game. And I lean 3.5, 4 with the Steelers.
Yeah, I would absolutely second that. Steelers plus the points. And the more I think about it, I think Jacksonville is going to take Buffalo out to the woodshed.
Okay.
I think Jacksonville is one of the most complete teams in the NFL, and Buffalo has had major issues the entire year. And I know other people are going to point and say, it's Josh Allen versus Trevor Lawrence. That's fine. I will remind you again, Josh Allen has never won a road game in the playoffs.
What does that mean? Yeah, I know. That's Trevor Lawrence had a great year.
And he's playing incredible, best football of his career.
Yep.
Might not even be close at this point. He did have that one stretch, 3 years ago when they made the playoffs. But Jacksonville's defense is awesome.
Yep.
And who has better weapons? Again, not close. It's clearly Jacksonville's side. And do we think McDermott is a genius?
He has won a road playoff game.
Not so sure about that. And I'll give you this. This is from a good tweet from Mark Potash, and he covers the league for the Chicago Sun-Times. Playoff teams that lose their regular season finale are 22-5 in home playoff openers since 2011. You got Carolina. You got Chicago in that spot. I think you got another game, too. I'm blanking on it right now, but you got, I think, 3 games this weekend where the team lost their regular season finale playing in a home playoff game, 22-5. Philly's another one.
Yep.
How about that?
Is LaFleur coaching for his job? That's another good one. And Carolina has a worse point differential than the New York Giants. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Worst point differential for a division champ ever. Outscored by 69 points. And they get to host the Rams. So there's a lot of intriguing games here, how it worked out. It's unfortunate. I think those 3 AFC games would have been the nuts if Baltimore won and all these teams had a case where they could make a deep run. I also lean to the Patriots Sunday night. Chargers going out in the cold. And Patriots have been automatic in the first halves as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, too, about Buffalo. You pointed that, they're 4-13 ATS in the first half this year.
Right.
You get off to another slow start, there'll be no coming back against Jacksonville.
I would agree with that.
And the Atlanta Falcons didn't win the division because they lost to the Jets.
Well,
somehow, some way with that Jet loss.
You can point to that, and you can also say they got swept and shut out that one game by Carolina. But also, Tampa Bay has nobody to blame but themselves.
Yeah.
They were a disaster for 2.5 months out of the season.
No doubt. They were 6-2, absolutely.
All right, we're going to run down the coaches who have been whacked and those who could be on the chopping block. I think this team is making a huge mistake, but it's good for him. He'll find a better organization to work for, I believe. That's coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
All right, let's dive into the wild card round. Coming up this weekend, National Football League, some super tantalizing games. Nick Whalen joins the program now. He is with RotoWire, and he is on the Progressive guest line. Nick, I'll begin with this game because you live in the state of Wisconsin. Now we get the third meeting this year between the Packers and the Bears. Packers took them apart the first time they played, and it was a miraculous win the way the Bears did it the second time not that long ago. Packers obviously banged up coming into this match. This number's all over the board. DraftKings has the Bears favored by 1.5. I see FanDuel has Green Bay minus 1.5. Here at Circa, right in the middle, at Pick'em. Overall, your initial thoughts here between the Bears and the Packers?
I think a lot to think about this game for sure. The stakes are massive for both teams, right? It's like on one hand, it's kind of a privilege that we get as objective observers, a divisional game, the third match between these two teams in the postseason. But a win or a loss, whichever team comes out with a loss in this game, it's going to sting double, especially given the season that the Bears have had, given how that second game went between these two teams. And I will say, maybe a little bit dangerous for the state of Wisconsin that they put this game on Saturday night. I will be on watch, that's for sure. That's what you're hoping for, I think, as a Packers fan. But my goodness, good news for the local taverns. Look, guys, I think if you're the Green Bay Packers, you have to be pretty thrilled with how this played out. Now, I will readily acknowledge the vibes are terrible right now in Green Bay. They have injuries all over the place. They've lost 4 in a row. They let a golden chance at the division slip away, especially now knowing that Chicago lost its last 2. And yet, at some books, you're opening up as a favorite on the road in a 2-7 game against a team you've already beaten and should have beaten again on the road with a backup quarterback in maybe the weirdest game of the year. So I feel like most teams in this situation where, everything started to unravel for Green Bay in the second half against Denver, most teams like that, you're limping into the playoffs. You have no expectations. And I'll tell you guys, here in the state of Wisconsin, everyone I talk to expects the Green Bay Packers to win this game. Not hopes, expects. So I think for the position that Green Bay is in as a 7 seed, again, with all the injuries, with all the bad vibes, to have an imminently winnable game in the 2-7, and then potentially, if you win that game, facing Sam Darnold, which I think is an appealing proposition right now. Look, I don't expect the Packers to make a run. I think that Super Bowl ceiling evaporated the moment Micah Parsons went down. But again, for as bad as the vibes are in Green Bay right now, I think there's some reasonable hope that they could go in and win this game.
Oh, excellent points. It's only the third ever playoff meeting between these two as well. And Johnson livid at their performance yesterday. Shut out through 3 quarters at home against the Lions.
As
and
should be.
They back into the 2 seed, which was crazy. How about the Jags at home against the Bills? McDermott hasn't won a road playoff game. What if Buffalo turns it over here once or twice? Because the Jags are opportunistic, and they've been great taking it away and great in the turnover differential, and they're hot on offense. How do you see it?
Yeah, this is an interesting line. Not a line that I'm surprised by to see the Bills sitting as road favorites. I think if you're Liam Cohen and the Jaguars, this is almost a positive because he has been a master this season, not only at resurrecting this team, but I think generating motivation. And they're buying in on this small market mantra, and nobody believes in us. And now you're at home. You've won 8 games in a row, and you're still an underdog to a Bills team that has had significant flaws this entire season. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I will be disappointed if the Jaguars don't win this game. Usually I'm pretty measured, when it comes to Jacksonville. I expect the worst at all times. The only thing where Buffalo, I think, has a distinct advantage is that quarterback, right? For as well as Trevor Lawrence has played, you, of course, would still rather have Josh Allen in a 1-game scenario. But other than that, I think the Jags are a significantly better defensive team. I think they're comparable offensively at the very least, and the Jags might be a little bit more diverse at this point with how they've played over the last 2 months. That Bills run defense in particular, I think that's where they could be exploited, right? That's been shaky all year. They've played a fairly soft schedule. They had some teams on that schedule that we thought would be better than they were, so that's a part of it. But this is a team that really just hasn't been tested all that much. They only have 3 wins over playoff teams, and those came against New England in a game they were down 3 scores in the first half, Carolina, and then that weird Pittsburgh game where they didn't do anything in the first half before breaking it open. And you mentioned that Jaguars defense. Yeah, there have been a lot of takeaways. I think this is still one of the most underrated units in the NFL from top to bottom. We never really mentioned Jacksonville in that upper tier. The advanced numbers say this is one of the 6 or 7 best defenses in the NFL. And of course, you're always worried about the Buffalo rushing attack. Jacksonville has not even allowed a 75-yard rusher all season. They played Jonathan Taylor twice. They played a relatively difficult schedule. I think this is kind of a bad matchup for the Buffalo Bills. I know money is coming in on Buffalo. Everybody wants to back Josh Allen. I think if I could take off my teal colored glasses, the Jags are the better team on both sides of the ball.
It's actually scary how much I like him in this game. It freaks me out, to be honest. So is there a future bet that you like right now? Any number that sticks out, maybe to win either conference, a Super Bowl exacta, any of that thing?
I can't get myself to actually bet the Jacksonville Jaguars. That would just be putting too many eggs in that basket. But I do think the Jags at plus 550 to win the AFC is reasonable. Houston to me at plus 550, equally reasonable. I think, they're the only other team that you could say is hotter than the Jags right now. It does feel like there's a little bit less offensive upside with Houston. You do worry about, okay, is there going to be a game where they can't score more than 17 points at some point in the playoffs? And then it's going to be 100% on the defense. So that's what would worry me about the Texans. But again, Houston at plus 550, in any game Houston plays, they will have the best unit in that game with that defense, provided they stay healthy. And I think they got to be thrilled with what happened last night in Pittsburgh, getting the Steelers instead of having to try to slow down Derrick Henry. Even if the Ravens haven't looked like the Ravens this season, like I was totally out on that team. You still don't want to have to play Lamar and Derrick Henry in a 1-game setting. So I think they have a much softer landing spot to begin these playoffs. And that's something that could propel them going forward. So I'm still looking at Houston plus 550 in the AFC.
All right. Anybody in the NFC?
Do we go down the Eagles?
That's the team I had on my
road
mind
here, guys. I'm looking at the Eagles at 5-1. I'm still holding firm on the Rams. I know that's more difficult to do now than it was 3 weeks ago. I still think LA at full strength is the most well-rounded team in either conference. If you're looking for the value play, though, it's like I can't back Chicago at 10-1. Again, Green Bay to me does not have a Super Bowl ceiling. I'm not betting them at 12-1. The Niners defense, to me, I don't know if we can count on that. We'll see if Fred Warner's back. I think the Eagles would be that team, and we'll know right away in the wild card round, like how back is this offense? How much stock do we put into what we've seen over the last month? Because we know how exploitable that Niners defense is, and if Philly comes out and goes 3 and out on their first 2 possessions, maybe this isn't going to look so great. But I think lost in all of this, the second half struggle for the Eagles is the fact that the defense has not fallen off at all. Like they could still carry that into any game. So a value for me in the NFC, it would have to be Philly, but hard to feel great about it.
Let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Nick Whalen, he's with RotoWire, and he is on the Progressive Guest Line. Busy schedule tonight in the association. Any player props or any side/totals that you like tonight in the NBA?
Yeah, a few things I'll run through here. We got 8 games in the NBA tonight. Keeping an eye on the status of James Harden for the Clippers. He was downgraded, to questionable earlier today. Might be a chance to look at the under 223.5. Clippers, they've been playing better of late. They are almost 10 points per 100 worse when Harden is off the floor. The first meeting between these two teams, Warriors and the Clippers, was a 98-79 game all the way back in October. So that's something I'm keeping an eye on. A few props that I'll give you for tonight. Dyson Daniels over 12.5 assists plus rebounds against Toronto. Second matchup in 3 nights between these teams. Daniels went for 20, 12, and 5 on Saturday, at 16 combined assists plus rebounds in the previous matchup. We won't see Trae Young out there tonight for Atlanta. So we see Dyson Daniels pick up about 3 more assists per 36 without Trae Young on the floor. Looking at Kawhi Leonard, over 2.5 threes tonight in that Clippers game. Been watching way too much Clippers lately, guys. And, just anecdotally, it feels like Kawhi is taking a ton of threes. The numbers back that up. He's up to 7 attempts per game on the year. That's about 2 more than last season. And if you just look at his last 7 games during this nice run for LA, he's taking 9.6 threes per game. So especially if Harden doesn't play tonight, I think we see an over 2.5 for Kawhi. And then we'll go over 1.5 threes for Nikola Vucevic. Bulls taking on the Celtics. Celtics, one of the slowest paced teams in the NBA, but they do give up a ton of threes. No Jalen Smith, no Zach Collins. Should see plenty of minutes tonight for Vucevic.
Very good. You can follow Nick on X. He's at Whalen, but instead of the letter L, use the number 1, WHA1EN, and he's with RotoWire. Joins us every single Monday at this time here on the Progressive Guest Line. Great stuff as always, Nick. Good luck tonight and this week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Good job.
Good breakdown.
Only the 3rd ever playoff meeting. They've been around forever. Isn't that hard to believe?
Yeah, I guess the Bears have been without.
Well, the problem is usually one of them's good and the other one's lousy. That happened for so long. Packers were awful in the 80s, and then the Packers were great in the 90s and 2000s. Bears were down forever.
That's right. The Cutler game really sticks out to me still. When Deion Sanders on NFL Network said he tapped out. They want to play in the game. And I think most people agreed with Deion at that point. I think the Packers were up 21-0 in that game, if I recall correctly. Eventually won 21-14 maybe. That's the year that Aaron Rodgers went absolutely scorched. They were the 6th seed. Went scorched earth on everybody in the NFC. He went to Atlanta. They were the 1 seed. They had, I think, was that the year that Ryan was the MVP? Maybe not, but Atlanta was the 1 seed and they were a machine. And Rodgers was like 31-36 for 360. He just was like, okay, this is my year.
Just when you're feeling good about the Bears, then the stinker happens.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
They didn't even have the ball on offense.
16 rip in the 4th quarter.
Win some, lose some up next. It was staring everybody in the face all year and finished 16-1. Paulie details next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Time now to go to the Progressive Guest Line. Warren Sharp joins the program. Follow him on X, @SharpFootball. Website is sharp.football. All right, Warren, let's begin with this. I think as of right now, we have 6 openings for a head coach in the National Football League. Bunch of firings, as always, on this day. Anything surprise you? And who do you think the coach is that still has a job that should go, in your opinion, if anybody?
The thing that came the closest to a surprise, I guess I would say, would be there in Cleveland with Kevin Stefanski. But the writing was sort of on the wall. Like they were sort of angling towards that for a little while. I'll just say, of the coaches that were fired, I think he's got the best potential somewhere else. I thought that he was a decent coach. Obviously, won Coach of the Year a couple times. Doesn't necessarily mean everything in the world. The one real knock against him was he couldn't really get Baker Mayfield figured out. And Baker Mayfield did end up having a little bit of success down there in Tampa for a bit. Obviously, he's been banged up this year, et cetera. So struggled this year. But previously, he did show some flashes for a couple of years and did not look as good under Kevin Stefanski. The other rest of the quarterbacks that Kevin Stefanski's worked with haven't really been good. So it's hard to really judge a guy under those conditions. Some of the other coaches that I think could be fired, or I wouldn't, I'm never going to call for somebody's job per se. But Aaron Glenn, he was the guy who really was supportive of Justin Fields as QB1 when pretty much everyone else in the whole universe knew Justin Fields is not a quarterback one. Aaron Glenn comes in as a defensive-minded head coach, can't get a single interception. What is it, the first time in history where a defense doesn't have a single interception in a season? And we got that extra game this year as well that most of the teams did not have prior to this. So I don't really see all of a sudden like him getting – I don't see he being dealt a bad hand this year and all of a sudden he's going to get lucky and turn things around next year. I just don't really see him in that role. Another guy that I'll mention who's been there a lot longer, Zach Taylor. I just think that Zach Taylor, he doesn't bring anything to the table to me. You look at the games and you throw his name on the list of coaches like Harbaugh and like Tomlin. Okay, if we compare those three, they've been there for a while, all in the AFC North. You look at those three coaches, Tomlin has shown the ability to win with a variety of quarterbacks. I mean, they've had some dregs since Ben Roethlisberger, and I think only one of those quarterbacks actually has a losing record. We're talking about like Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph and all these other guys coming through, and they're winning games under Mike Tomlin. You look at Harbaugh, and when he's not working with Lamar Jackson, no, this team is not a playoff caliber team, but they're 10-16 in games that he's coached without Lamar Jackson. It's still not a horrible record. If you look at Zach Taylor in games without Joe Burrow, he's 9 wins and 30 losses. I mean, this team is hopeless without Joe Burrow. This is the Cincinnati Joe Burrows, in my opinion. Like, that is what they are. Zach Taylor doesn't bring anything to the table. And maybe I'm just a little turned off by him by complaining about the fact that we celebrated a player breaking the sack record and took a moment of time to do that as opposed to just continuing play. After all, I mean, he's talking about this is a life or death situation and they were trying to hurry up. Buddy, what are you talking about? Your team's been out of the playoffs for a while now, had no hope. You went under your win total. You didn't meet any expectations this year. There's nothing life or death about it. Nobody literally died at all because you guys lost that game, and you wouldn't have won that game by going hurry up on that snap either. So that was pretty obnoxious in my opinion.
Great point. You're active on social media. You're very good on this. I think all three of us are concerned about a ref show. I thought Brad Allen's crew was terrible. I mean, we've got taunting penalties 5 minutes into a game. They blew the call on Flowers right off the bat on Henry's long run. How concerned are you, and how important are some of these referees' assignments for the playoffs?
Yeah, I went through. They just announced the referees that are being assigned to these games. First of all, I think it's a great slate of playoff games that we have this weekend. Really looking forward to the Thursday and Friday college football semis leading into this great triple header weekend of NFL games that they got going on. I guess they stopped calling it Super Wildcard Weekend. I might have missed the memo there. They started trying to call it that. They just decided not to anymore. But I think that this referee slate, there are a couple of games that stand out to me that I'm a little bit concerned with. I don't disagree with your Brad Allen comment. He is doing the Buffalo Bills at Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday afternoon, the first game of the day, 1 p.m. Eastern time. I guess that's Sunday morning for you guys out there in the desert. But Adrian Hill is doing the night game, Green Bay Packers versus Chicago Bears. He has the strongest tendencies towards trending towards unders this year from a referee perspective, and also supportive of underdogs. So unders and underdogs have done really well in Adrian Hill's games. Although that being said, I mean, there's no real underdog in this game. I mean, 1 point here, then it flips the next day to 1 point to the road team. So it's back and forth type of fair pick'em game at a lot of spots as well. So it'll be interesting to see how these games go. Ron Torbert, I know a lot of people know a lot about Ron Torbert. He is doing the night game on Sunday Night Football between the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Chargers. He's done a lot of big games in the past, but a lot of people have strong feelings about his crew at times as well.
Yeah, it's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest is Warren Sharp. Follow him on X at Sharp Football. Website is sharp.football, and he's on the Progressive Guest Line. Anything catch your eye at this point in terms of where these numbers are moving? The Rams up to 10.5 against Carolina. You're seeing different books have the Packers or the Bears as the favorite overall when you look. The Bills are favored at Jacksonville, or now the Eagles taking money here on a Monday up to 4.5 against the 49ers.
Yeah, look, if we talk about the last game you just mentioned, the Philadelphia Eagles, tough situation, in my opinion, for the San Francisco 49ers. Normally, you would say that they've got an edge because they have 1 day of extra rest. Mm-hmm. After all, they played Saturday, not Sunday. But the Eagles rested most of their key players on Sunday. The 49ers were playing to try to secure a first-round bye and not have to leave Santa Clara at all through the Super Bowl unless they lost a game. Then they just go on their vacations. This is a team that had their hearts broken, literally, by losing to the Seattle Seahawks in a game that, though the final score wasn't massive blowout, it really wasn't all that competitive for large parts of that game. And now they have to go on the road this next weekend, and they've lost some defensive players in that game. And they're already a team that's been very beaten up and injured. Mm-hmm. Now they got to go on and take maybe the Eagles, who's the closest East Coast comparison to like the Seattle Seahawks? Like, Philly could be like a East Coast Seahawks almost. They've got a decent defense. They like to run the football. They've got a quarterback who can perform well if you build enough things in around him. And I think, though the styles are a little bit different, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are definitely going to prove to be a difficult adversary for the San Francisco 49ers to take on here. And certainly the early line being set pretty strong in Philly's favor is indicative of that. And the line movement that we've seen over the course of today from some betting groups definitely helps resonate that thought.
Warren, we have about 2.5 minutes left here. Do you have a strong opinion at all on anybody to win an award this year? Like, are you strong one way or the other on Stafford versus May for the MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach, any of the awards at all?
Not really on those. The one thing I'll take my time, they do in the debates, I'll take my time and decide to just talk about something else. I do want to mention something as it relates to you guys out there in the desert with the Raiders and the rumor that Brian Daboll might come in and coach your offense there. I just want to say one statement here about what Brian Daboll was able to do the last few games before he was fired. Do you know that the last 5 games before the New York Giants decided to fire Brian Daboll, he faced these teams: the Eagles, the Broncos, the Eagles again, the 49ers, and the Bears. Where are all those teams? In the playoffs. How many wins did all those teams have? At least 11. And we're talking about some playoff caliber teams with playoff caliber defenses. And what did Brian Daboll do with Jackson Dart? While they only went 1-4 in those games, Jackson Dart averaged at least 7.8 yards per attempt in 4 of those 5 games. He threw for an average of 7.7 across all those games. The league average this year for all quarterbacks is 7.0 yards per attempt. Rookies are averaging only 6.2 yards per attempt. He had Jackson Dart average 7.7 yards per attempt against 5 playoff defenses in his 3rd through 7th start. Dart threw 7 touchdowns, only 1 interception. That is the guy that I would want coaching up a young quarterback for me. Brian Daboll helped get Josh Allen on the right direction after a couple of tenuous years there in Buffalo. He was having to work with Daniel Jones, dragged him to the playoffs one year, did not have a lot of success after that once teams figured out what they were trying to do. Daniel Jones being a limited quarterback, worked with a variety of other terrible quarterbacks after that: Tyrod Taylor, Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, Russell Wilson, etc., before he handpicked Jackson Dart and got some decent results out of Jackson Dart from an offensive quarterback performance standpoint in tough situations, the three of those last 4 games being on the road. So I think Brian Daboll makes for an excellent coach back in the NFL, working with a young quarterback potentially out there in Las Vegas next year.
Yeah, so my guess is, there you go. My follow-up was, my guess is that you really like the idea of Flores being the head coach. This is circling now out here, along with Brian Daboll as the OC here in Las Vegas. We're down to like 20 seconds here, but...
I wouldn't mind that pairing at all. I think they both provide punch and creativity on their respective sides of the ball.
Thanks, Warren. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Good luck, guys.
You too.
Warren Sharp on the Progressive Guest Line. Some teams have hope, others do not. The good, the bad, and the ugly from this weekend coming up next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
This is absolutely remarkable. I was stunned when I saw this tweet come across on the account yesterday. Hat tip to John Breach, who noticed this. There have only been 3 teams this season with the fumble return touchdown and a pick six in the same game. It happened in Week 3 by Minnesota. It happened in Week 11 by Pittsburgh, and it happened yesterday by the Browns. All 3 came against the Bengals. All 3. And we talked to Warren Sharp last hour. If you missed it, you can always go back and listen to the Follow the Money podcast. His numbers on this guy, Zach Taylor, being the head coach without Joe Burrow. You referenced it again. 9-30 when he doesn't play. 9-30. And Warren called them the Cincinnati Joe Burrows, not the Cincinnati Bengals. Why is Zach Taylor a good coach? Why is he in charge of this team? Is it because they have terrible ownership? Think about Ohio State is like the premier college football program in the country, and yet the 2 NFL organizations in that state just get it wrong so often it's alarming. I guess you can't have the best of both worlds, huh? That's
a terrible press conference he had
to
cry about that.
Yeah.
Come on. Oh, the officials didn't tell us they were going to do that, and the league didn't tell us. Like other people pointed out who cover the league. You were down 3 scores against Baltimore, and you punted on the game, that home game when you got shut out. You're out of it anyways. The season's over. Come on.
Much like when, to me, the most worthless stat ever, basically, in this sport is the quarterback record. Hey, this quarterback is 41-12. Team game. No, he's not. Knock it off. I can't believe people actually keep those records. But also a coach getting credit for making a Super Bowl run. Oh, Super Bowl coach, man. You can't knock the guy. Yeah, you can. Doesn't really mean much in his case, in my opinion.
No.
I don't give him any credit for that Super Bowl run.
Yep. How many potential bad Super Bowl matchups are there or you don't want to see? Because you made the case for Philly. You could say Philly, Pittsburgh, Carolina, Denver, Green Bay, and Houston will be bad for props.
I think Philadelphia, to me, takes the cake. Because of, first of all, I have a little Philly fatigue. Like you were gassed out on the Chiefs now. I am as well. But also,
I'm chiefed out, as Russo would say.
Yeah. So I just like the offense has been a disaster all year long.
Uh-huh.
Now, if they could get to the Super Bowl by winning 13-10 games.
Did you watch that Broncos game? I mean, they are tough to take. It's especially when they're playing a bad team.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I actually think that if you told me right now, again, to me, the number is not bettable. I would need more than this. But if you told me the Steelers actually made the Super Bowl with the path that they would have to go through, well, something's going right then. Mm-hmm. And that probably means that Rodgers is playing like he did last night. And it's not just the defense, because the defense is actually not that great. So they're probably humming at that point. I would actually take Pittsburgh.
Wow, okay.
I would certainly take Buffalo, although I don't like them this week.
Some interesting divisional round matchups. You could have Bills at Denver, Houston at New England. You could have Philly at Chicago, Rams at Seattle round 3. You could have San Francisco at Seattle round 3 with this is my favorite. San Francisco at Seattle, Rams at Chicago.
Oh, that'd be very good. Although, do we want to see the Rams play in Seattle the second round of the playoffs?
Well, either way, the Niners. I think it's egregious what the league has done here. Mm-hmm. Even the Niners.
So, if we get Buffalo at Denver in the divisional round, make a point spread on that. That means Buffalo.
What do they do? What's the Jacksonville score?
Well, they just went there and
won by 3?
24-20.
24-20.
Good game overall.
Boy.
Josh Allen favored going to Denver?
No. Denver small favorite.
I wonder how people would bet that game.
Houston is a tough matchup for New England, though.
That pass rush. Yeah, I would agree with that.
You got guys back on the O-line, but still.
See, I think
I'm worried about Houston a little bit, too, because how they played down the stretch defensively, and also what Stingley said. It's like, well, we've just treated this as playoff games for 9 in a row.
Yeah.
What What are you going to win 14 games in a row to close the season?
But
Or 13?
I would
this
reverse
is-
it though and say, Paul, if they actually come out of the AFC, to me that's a super sexy Super Bowl because they might not necessarily be winning low-scoring games, and I think there's an angle here where Stroud can actually get humming with the passing attack, and that to me would be kind of fun to watch.
I don't see that happening.
With a healthy Nico Collins.
Yeah.
Oh, I could see it happening
Like
for
that.
sure.
Yeah.
So their defense is going to carry the day, low-scoring games. That's how they would win the AFC.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
Similar to the Buffalo game.
I think
Similar
Stroud
to
can get it going.
take
with
out the
passing
first
attack.
2 drives against the Chargers, the blown coverages, how they won that game.
Do you want to see the Chargers make the Super Bowl or the Patriots?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people like, come on, Brady retires and now they get another star quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be okay with the Patriots. I'd be Chargers.
I would much rather have the
Yeah.
Chargers than the Patriots. Like, to me, the worst Super Bowl imaginable would be Philadelphia, New England.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a terrible game, awful game. That would suck, quite frankly.
Bills. How about give me some crazy Rams, Bills,
Phenomenal.
Bills, Bears.
Sure.
Yeah.
Rams, Jacksonville. I know we had it already,
One,
but
yeah.
people forget Jacksonville was living across the 50-yard line.
Yeah.
They just couldn't convert. Well, Carolina making it 2 would be pretty bad, but think again, what would they be playing like come Super Bowl time? I don't know. The way the Niners defense is, probably be a super high scoring game. If they could get by these teams in the NFC, the Bears would be wild with that fan base getting here.
Bears, Bills is something.
Oh, Bears, Bills is the absolute nuts. I can't lie. Can't
What
deny
is
that.
it? Only three playoff appearances in 20 years for the Bears? How bad it's been?
Mm-hmm.
The double doink, the Cutler game? It's been a while.
Wait. So, no, they made the Super Bowl in 2006.
Since then. Yeah.
So that'd be, including that year, be the
Yeah,
fourth one.
Since then, yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Chargers 3 playoff wins since the 2007 AFC title game.
What would Green Bay look like if they made the Super Bowl? This is a tweet from Michael Harrison.
I don't know.
Packers, he's betting this. Packers to lose in the championship game is plus 750. You can bet stage of elimination.
Yeah.
He said they are totally capable of beating the Bears. I would agree.
Yes.
And the Seahawks, and then losing to the Rams or the Eagles. In fact, as a fan, I expect it.
Okay.
Also, he thinks the number, Texans, Eagles, the exact, a 35-1 is not bad.
Now that is an ugly Super Bowl.
Pretty much.
Wow. This
Yep.
is good from our guy on X, Sports Odds History. He does a good job tracking everything in futures. This is all these alt lines, how high you can go in any direction at MGM in the summer. Seattle over 13.5 wins, 15-1. 12.5, 9-1. 11.5, 6-1. Arizona under 3.5, 13-1. 4.5, 9-1. Patriots over 13.5, 13-1. Over 12.5 plus 650.
Damn.
Jacksonville over 12.5, 10-1. Over 11.5 plus 650. Kansas City under 6.5, 10-1.
That's it? I would have needed a better number than that
Okay.
to intrigue me.
Denver over 13.5, 9-1. Washington under 5.5 plus 825.
Damn, okay.
Raiders under 3.5 plus 650. Jets, same. Baltimore under 8.5, 5-1. Cincinnati under 6.5, 5-1. That is good.
Who are the biggest regression candidates for next year
Bears.
as a playoff team? Bears would be number 1. And
that's simple. 33 takeaways plus 22 turnover differential.
and my guess would be also the Patriots. Because they're
The
going
schedule?
to have a first place schedule now next year, yeah. And plus they just won 14 games, so that's pretty easy to see. Hey, they could still win 10, 11 games and be a playoff team, but that's coming back to the pack pretty good. I wonder about the Niners. I have no idea what to expect from that team next year. Just based on how many guys were out this year and could next year be the season of the Niners. But it also feels like we say this every single year with San Francisco, and that is, hey, they can't possibly be that injured again this year. Well, they are every year. Jacksonville would probably be a candidate because they won so many games this year. Year one of the head coach.
Well, yeah, Indy gets Dimes back. They were 8-2 when he got hurt. Washington will be sexy. 5-2. They get 5-12
uptick.
season. Yes.
I think the Saints are going to be a sexy divisional pick next year.
And I want to see what Atlanta does with GM and coach. I mean, to think that that game meant we thought nothing at the time, but that loss against the Jets was huge, it turned out. Because they would have gone 9-8. You couldn't beat the stinking Jets and gave up 2 special teams touchdowns. Come on.
How about this tweet from OptaStats on X? There have been more than 60,000 field goal attempts in NFL history. Tyler Loop's miss last night is the only one of those attempts that came as time expired in the fourth quarter in the final week, with both teams' playoff hopes resting solely on the result of that kick.
I don't believe that. How can that be?
Pretty crazy.
Wow.
And again, I can't believe Harbaugh settled for that. I don't know. Am I the Lone Ranger on that?
Yeah, I can't believe they couldn't stop the old man twice. Take the lead, give it up. Take the lead, give it up. Oh, no, blocked extra point. Here we go. Right there for us. New kicker. He's had a great year. Only missed from outside of 50, from 44. No. Priest comes out with his voodoo, holy water.
I was screaming at the house last night when he made that decision. I could not believe what he was doing. All right. There is a lot of time and energy wrapped up into betting this specific future, this market, to the tune of 88 bets in all, but it was a winner yet again, more than 20 units to be exact. I'll give you the details on that next here and Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.